Hi, I'm Mike Beliveau, and today we're back at Duelist Den. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is hunting pouches, shot bags. And what I want to talk to you about is a good shot bag for ranging duty with a smoothbore. So let's take a look at it, and then maybe we'll break out that old flintlock and do a little bit of shooting. Well, I've got a friend named Matt who claims to be a bagaholic. And I can totally sympathize with that because I have quite a few bags myself. And I've gone through kind of an evolution on smoothbore bags. My first smoothbore bag was beautiful. It was from Geneseo Trading Company. And it's as big as a suitcase. It's a lot to carry around. And it's probably not really authentic because actual bags of that era were smaller, like this one. All right, this is a bag modeled off of the Lyman bag, very famous bag. There's actually a belt pouch. This has straps on it to go around your shoulder, but this is a bag that was actually used at the Battle of Lake George in 1755. Well, not this bag, but the original of it. And the original owner, Lemuel Lyman, claimed that that bag saved his life, and therefore he held on to it, and it developed family lore, and his family held on to it, and it has come down to us in the present day, because very few mid-18th century shot pouches have survived. So we're lucky we've got that one, and it's small. Okay, you can see it's only 7 inches across. It's a very simple bag, D-shaped. Right, 2 pieces of leather just sewn together with a leather gusset sewn in between them, so it makes basically 2 pockets. Right, and I have used this bag for years, and it's a really good bag. But my issue with it is because it's sewn together, just these 2 pieces, it doesn't have much expansive room. Right, now the idea behind this is pretty simple. You've got the 2 pockets, right? The back pocket here is where you put your tools and your accoutrements and your flints and all that good stuff. And in the front pocket, what you put, quite simply, are loose balls and your wadding material. So I'll just take a little bit of this, take a few of these. All right, so this is just tossed in here. Okay, and the way it works is when you're shooting, you reach in and you grab a ball, and you reach in, you grab a wad, and you load the gun. But if you've got tools and stuff, they end up pushing forward on the balls end up riding up. I just found it to be a little bit tight in there. But I didn't want a big portmanteau, and I did want a two pouch bag, because it seems like anybody who was on ranging service or military service, you know, in the militia, who was not using paper cartridges, and if you were in the British military, you used paper cartridges. If you had military muskets provided to you by your province, well, you probably used paper cartridges. Though not always. But if you showed up with your own gun, which was very common, and in fact, the provinces in Great Britain, who funded it, paid you a bounty if you showed up with your own gun, because they just didn't have guns for everybody. So if you showed up with your own gun that you used for hunting, and probably for Indian fighting, depending on where you lived, well, you also bring your shot bag, and you would not be using paper cartridges, because that's just not the way civilians did it. So I wanted a specific kind of bag, and I wanted it to have some characteristics that I was interested in. So you may recall, if you saw my video on this year's Lewisburg 18th Century Artisan Show, I mentioned that I was looking for a bag. And I could not find exactly what I was looking for. But I got to Eric Fleisher's table, and I saw some stuff that was close, really close, because I was looking for a double bag. So you can see this is a double bag. And he had several double bags. The problem, from my point of view, was they were all made like this, just kind of envelope stitched, right? 2 bags like that. And what I wanted was I wanted them to be gusseted. I didn't want them to be sewn flat together. I wanted a little more expansive room. So I asked Eric if he would make me a bag, which he did. And I'm going to put Eric's contact information down below. Okay, I have been told that some of you never look at the description information with all the links and everything down below. So just to make it easy, I'm going to put Eric's information right here. And let me say right up front, I paid for this bag. I got no special deals. And Eric did a great job, and I recommend him very highly. Not because I've got any skin in the game, but just because I'm really happy with the bag he made for me. This bag cost $250, and I think it is well worth the price. It's a beautiful, authentic bag, strap, iron buckle. Now, this is my own device, and you guys have seen this before. So this is not Eric's work. Don't blame him. What I do is I sew a D-ring onto the strap of my bags. I braid some line, and I put my powder measure on the strap like this. And each of my bags is specific to a gun. So I've got my powder measure. It doesn't flop all over the place if I do this. Right? But when I'm ready to load, I just push that toggle through, and now I've got a foot of line, so I can load, move it to the muzzle, do all that stuff. And then when I'm going to be moving through the woods, I just put the toggle back through there, and once again, I'm all set. It's not going anywhere. Well, just so you can make the visual comparison, the original smoothbore bag I had quite a few years ago is the Geneseo Trading Company bag, and it's on the left. And you can see how much bigger it is than the Ranger bag that Eric made for me. And the Geneseo Trading Company bag is a great bag, and it's very useful for doing mixed hunting, where you've got maybe using some balls and using shot, maybe a combined squirrel and deer hunt in the late fall. Well, you can bring everything you need in that, but it is more of a European style hunting bag. It's big, and in the 18th century, bags were smaller, and particularly if you were going to be on ranging duty, watching outside, say, the chain of forts in Pennsylvania, or ranging in New England, you would probably have been using a much smaller bag, more like the bag that Eric made me. I hope this doesn't come out choppy. I've had an airplane flying over me, constantly. And I try to cut out so I don't get all that noise in the video. So we'll see how that goes. Seems to be gone for a while now. I'm sure he'll be back because he's been back several times. So anyway, like I said, we've got 2 bags that are gusseted. Button closure. I like the security of the button closure if I'm running around in the woods, particularly because of the way I use my shot bags. And with a rifle, I do things differently, because with a rifle, I'll have a small bag of balls. And I'll often have, say, patches in this little pocket over here. So I can grab a patch, but I'll take a ball out of that ball bag, or I'll use a bullet board if I'm in a match. Have the balls and patches already mounted on them, so I don't fumble around with it. But a rifle necessarily takes longer to load than a smoothbore. And with a smoothbore, one of the benefits of it is the speed of loading. So you can get off more than one shot, before you get a tomahawk sunk in your head. So this has 2 pouches, and in the back pouch, I keep flints and tools. Right? So I'll have a number of flints. I actually have a handful of them back there. And then I keep my cleaning kit. Right? And that's got a screwdriver. It's got a jag. It's got a pick. And it's got a worm, and it's got tow in it. And I always keep a spare flint in there too. So that kit takes up a fair amount of room, but it keeps all my stuff together. And that I can drop in the back, and it's not in the way of anything else because it's in its own pocket back here with flints. And if I wanted to carry any other tools, a little set of pliers or a bag mold or something like that, I would have that back in there too, in the back pocket. Because the front pocket is strictly for balls, right? Ball and wadding. Because when I shoot, I want to be able to just reach into my pouch, reach straight in, grab a ball, pull it out, load it in the gun. That's what I want out of this. And that's the way I handled this bag as well. Okay, so that's what I was looking for. That's what I've got. So there's no separate, buckskin bag of balls or anything like that. The balls just get dumped in by the handful right into this front pouch. And to shoot them, I just reach in, pull it out. So it's powder, ball, wad, shoot. Prime shoot. Don't forget the prime. And that's how this bag works. So now that you've got a look at it, know how it's built, let me show you how it functions. Now, the reason I set my bag up like this is because the way people loaded smoothbores in the 18th century is not the way most people load them today. These days, lots of shooters, in fact most of the shooters that I know who shoot smoothbores, load them with a patched round ball just like a rifle. Which probably is the most accurate, best way to load them, strictly if you want to win a match. But that was not the predominant way they were loaded in the 18th century. In fact, I've never seen any documentation anywhere about smoothbores being loaded with a patch round ball. I'm not saying it didn't happen, because if it can happen, it did. But I'm just saying it was not the normal way of doing business. The normal way for loading smoothbores with a round ball in the 18th century was with what I call a bare ball and a wad. So here's how that works. I'll just do it so you can see it easily here. I'm going to load 110 grains of 2FG Swiss powder. Let me fill my measure. Okay, right down the bore. Now, I'm going to top that with a round ball. This is a 72 caliber pure lead round ball. Oop, I'm just dropping her in. Okay, and basically, we are 90% ready to go. Whoops. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. You're actually seeing this out of the sequence where I filmed it. So you're seeing this first as far as loading and shooting goes. And actually it's the last thing that I filmed. So I've been shooting all day and having a good time. But I forgot to put more wads in my pouch. So anyway, I just put the round ball down. Next thing I'm going to do is I've got a piece of paper. This is 1.5 inches by 3 inches. I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to shove that baby in. And it wants to grab on everything. That's okay. Alright, so I'm going to take my ramrod. Now I'm going to make sure that everything is seated down on the powder. There we go. Got a little fouling in the bore. Replace the ramrod. Now I'm ready to prime and shoot. And that's how a smoothbore would have been loaded in the 18th century if you weren't using paper cartridges. And as you can see, even though I didn't do it quickly, you can load them pretty fast, as opposed to getting a patch, spitting on it or greasing it, right? Centering it on the bore, short starter, or even without a short starter, you know, driving that home tight, and then shooting. It's much faster to just drop a ball in, push in a wad, and believe me, if I was a younger man doing this all the time, I'd be a lot faster at it. So that's the quick way to go. Now the other thing I've been doing here is I've been priming right out of my main charge. So this is 2FG. 2FG powder in the pan. Just to show you, you don't need to use 4F. Okay, everybody seems to think that you do, but you don't. And it'll go off just fine. Now, I still like to use priming powder because I do think it gives a little bit faster ignition if I'm doing target shooting. Let me just back up here and shoot this load out. I'll tell you what, Swingin' Sam has taken quite a beating today. I'll show you in a minute. All right, I'm just going to run you through loading 2 rounds in a row. Really, just so you can see how this pouch operates as part of a Colonial Ranger's weapon system. Alright, hopefully I'd learn to do that a little bit faster if an Indian was really chasing me with a tomahawk, but I think you get the idea. Alright, Swingin' Sam there has has been taking those 72 caliber balls, and he's pretty well busted up. It's only about 40 yards. I probably shouldn't shoot steel that close with that big old gun because it rocks the heck out of them. I hope you enjoyed this look at my smoothbore pouch and why it's set up the way it is. Maybe it'll inspire you. And you can look up Eric Fleisher. He does beautiful work, all sorts of hunting pouches. He's an excellent artisan. And if you liked it, thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe. And I will see you next week.